Keri Russell is back in Season 2 of The Diplomat, but is it as good as Season 1? Let's discuss.
Explosion in central London.
Can we find the Home Secretary? I'd like to be able to tell the ambassador whether her husband is alive or dead.
So after a deadly explosion in the heart of London shattered Kate's world, her worst fears are beginning to unfold as the attack that brought her to the UK may not have come from a rival nation. The fear is that it came from the British government, and so lies, deceit, well, politics. That's what The Diplomat is all about, featuring fantastic performances from that first season. I really enjoyed the first season. First of all, getting to know Keri Russell's character, what she's all about, how she operates, the intensity within how she operates, but also how that explosive, see what I did there, finale of Season 1 would carry over into Season 2. And this time, the deceit is more prominent than it was from the first season. Obviously, our returning characters featuring Hal, played by Rufus Sewell, who just does a great job. Every time he's on screen, I love their dynamic, the back and forth, the quippiness, the fact that she's now in the role that he used to occupy, and that is causing a lot of tension between the two. But there are also some new characters, and the one that I want to start with, and she doesn't become prominent until a little bit later, but Allison Janney. Vice President Grace, I mentioned the word explosive. You could apply that to some of the characters as well. And Janney's presence, what it does for this show, how it kind of changes everything. And when you get someone of that prominence coming into a situation like this where there are internal issues going on. It may not be another country. It may be someone within the confines of where we are. That's when things become a little bit more intense. But when Allison Janney comes in, it changes everything. And I love the way that she impacted this show. Obviously, her dialogue with Keri Russell is so good. And so Kate rushes back to England when this bomb goes off. And you can feel the intensity within the way that she operates, from her decision-making to seeing how each decision weighs so heavily on her, but there is a little bit of sympathy in there, obviously not for her husband, but again, his former role makes her decision-making process a little bit more interesting. You can see how that pushes her in different directions. Rory Kinnear as our prime minister is slimy. That's not the right word. Petty, but you can see something deep down there. It's like, there's something more to him than maybe meets the eye. And along with the main relationships, you have some of these subplots and side relationships that I think became a little more interesting. I know we have less episodes this time around, only 6, but I feel as if we were exploring more elements, which was cool. Now, some people are going to be frustrated with the 6 episodes, and if we haven't already gotten a confirmation on Season 3, I'd be a little upset because, yeah, especially when you watch this finale, which may even be crazier than the Season 1 finale, in its own creative way, I'm glad we've got Season 3 because thinking about this show getting canceled would devastate me. That's the thing, right? If you don't like this type of political intrigue, these discussions, the dialogue that really just picks up the pace, it becomes rampant at a point and never slows down. I mean, we've only got 6 episodes, so they got a lot to do to fill that time, and they take full advantage of that. I felt like this season moved way quicker than Season 1 because Season 1, you're establishing who these characters are. Now we know who Kate is. Now we're off and running, and we see the power that she holds, and you really feel that within that decision-making that is so impactful. Everything she does is strategic. Even when she doesn't necessarily know where to go, you can tell when she starts to lean in a direction, the commitment to that is great. And so learned a lot about her character in Season 1, but I believe Season 2 elevates her and makes her become even more interesting. Also, David Gyasi as Secretary Austin. Hello. He's such a grounded character. He brings that feel to some of these conversations that get a little out of control, a little out of hand. Emotions are running high. We're dealing with nations here. We're dealing with secrets here. We're dealing with deceit and lies, but he always brings a groundedness to these moments. And again, we're blaming a nation for this when in reality, it's all lies, right? It's coming from within the British government. We've got to figure this out pronto, as quick as possible. And that, again, adds to that almost ticking time bomb type feeling. And you know, this isn't an action-packed show. It's not Jack Ryan. It's not anything like that. Although the political intrigue of Jack Ryan, I believe, is sprinkled within a show like this, as well as Mission Impossible. But it's not an action show. It's all about the dialogue. So if you're looking for action, maybe go elsewhere. This is more like a House of Cards type of thing where you're just really engaged and intrigued and honestly on the edge of your seat. Now, it's not perfect. When I say there's a lot going on, there is a lot going on for 6 episodes. And it becomes fast-paced while at times you can rush through important story points. And, when we are focusing on some of these side plots, I was kind of into it. But then I'm like, let's go back to Kate and her ex-husband and everyone around her because she's a little more interesting than what we've got going on over here. And there's something bigger that we're trying to deal with. So when we're, spending time with these silly things, it's fine. It adds a little levity to it. But then I'm like, let's get into the meat. And we do, especially in that last episode. Also, I do want to talk about the filmmaking, the cinematography. It's all beautiful. The way that we utilize wide shots here and it's filmed like a movie as opposed to a TV show or just an HBO show with a big-time budget. I get it's Netflix, and they have big budgets as well. But it has that bigger-than-reality feeling here. And, sometimes within politics, maybe in real life, things can be bigger than they even seem. And so they really make you feel that within the show. And it has that British or those British sensibilities to it that make it stand a little bit apart from an American series and from, you've got American characters in here, but from things that we've seen before in other shows, there are moments where I'm like, yeah, that's different. And I appreciate that, whether it's a shot, camera placement, dialogue, how something transitions from one scene to the other. That's impressive. And The Diplomat does all of those things very well. It knows the type of show that it is, and for that, I appreciate it. So before I give you my score, you're watching The Diplomat on Netflix. Would you like to see me talk about the ending of Season 2? Leave your thoughts down below. If you want to see all those things, drop that thumbs up, as well as more Netflix reviews. Season 2 elevates the stakes, becomes faster paced, and ultimately has more explosiveness than the first. It may feel occasionally overwhelming, but the results are impressive. Russell crushes. Once again, she's fantastic, headlining the show for a reason. But the entirety of the cast and new members are great as well. As soon as Janney shows up, I'm like, yep, we're going to get even better. Thank you so much for watching. Are you coming back for Season 3? Are you excited for Season 3 after this? I'll see you soon.